The morning of Emma's wedding, I found my wife's tablet buzzing on the kitchen counter like an angry wasp. Claire was upstairs, probably applying her third layer of foundation for the cameras that would capture our daughter's perfect day. 25 years of marriage had taught me to mind my own business when it came to Claire's devices, but something about the insistent vibration made me glance at the screen. Don't worry, he suspects nothing. Last night was incredible. Can't wait to celebrate properly after the wedding. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The message was from Julian Mercer, Claire's wealthiest client, the man who'd been commissioning interior design work for his various properties over the past 6 months. The man whose penthouse renovation had required so many late-night consultations. My coffee mug hit the granite countertop with a sharp crack. 25 years. A quarter-century of building a life, raising our daughter, creating something I thought was solid. I'm an architect. I understand foundations, load-bearing walls, structural integrity. Apparently, I'd miscalculated the stress points in my own marriage. I quickly scrolled through the message thread, my hands surprisingly steady despite the earthquake happening in my chest. The affair had been going on for months. Detailed plans for romantic getaways. Intimate photos I definitely didn't need to see. And worse, much worse, discussions about Claire's exit strategy. Robert's so wrapped up in his blueprints, he wouldn't notice if I moved out entirely, she'd written just 3 days ago. After Emma's wedding, we can make this official. He'll be devastated, but honestly, Julian, I've been empty inside this marriage for years. Julian's response made my jaw clench. Poor bastard. At least he'll have his buildings to keep him company. I heard Claire's heels clicking down the hardwood stairs. Quickly, I forwarded the entire conversation to my personal email, then placed the tablet exactly where I'd found it. By the time she entered the kitchen, I was calmly sipping my coffee and reading the morning paper like nothing had changed. "You're up early," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. Guilt, I realized now, not morning grogginess. "Big day," I replied. "Our only daughter gets married once." Claire poured herself coffee, her movements sharp and efficient. She'd always been beautiful. That hadn't changed. At 49, she still turned heads at social gatherings. Her interior design business had flourished over the past few years, bringing in clients with serious money. Clients like Julian Mercer. "I invited Julian to the reception," she said casually, stirring sugar into her cup. "He's been so supportive of the business, and Emma likes him." The audacity was breathtaking. "Of course you did." She shot me a look. "Is that a problem?" "Why would it be a problem, Claire? He's your client." Something in my tone made her pause, but I kept my expression neutral. 25 years of marriage had also taught me about timing. Today was Emma's day. My daughter deserved her perfect wedding, complete with both parents smiling for the cameras. My reckoning with Claire could wait until tomorrow. The wedding was everything Emma had dreamed of. The oceanside venue was spectacular, the flowers perfect, the food exceptional. I walked my daughter down the aisle with genuine joy, despite the acid burning in my stomach. Emma looked radiant in her grandmother's restored wedding dress, a dress Claire had wanted to replace with something more modern and expensive. During the reception, I watched Julian work the crowd. 55 years old, silver-haired, with the kind of European charm that impressed Claire's social circle. He owned import businesses, real estate, a yacht. Everything I wasn't, apparently. "Wonderful celebration," Julian said when he approached our table. He shook my hand with practiced warmth. "Emma looks beautiful. You must be very proud." "I am," I said. "She's got her mother's beauty and hopefully her father's sense of loyalty." Julian's smile faltered slightly. Claire laughed too loudly and changed the subject. Later, as the evening wound down, I overheard Claire on her phone near the coat check. "It's done," she was saying quietly. After tonight, everything changes. He'll never see it coming. I'd heard enough. I found Emma saying goodbye to guests and pulled her aside. "Dad, you look tired," she said, concern creasing her forehead. "It's been a long day, sweetheart. Listen, your mother and I might have some things to work through over the next few weeks. I want you to know that whatever happens, it has nothing to do with you, and I love you more than anything in this world." Emma's eyes widened. "Dad, what's going on?" "Nothing that can't wait until after your honeymoon. Go be happy with David. That's all I want." I kissed her forehead and headed for the parking lot, leaving Claire to find her own way home. I spent that night in my home office, a converted attic space where I kept my most important files. Claire rarely came up here. She claimed the narrow stairs hurt her knees. It was the one space in our house that was entirely mine. Hidden behind my drafting table was a small fireproof safe. Inside were documents Claire didn't know existed, separate bank accounts I'd maintained since starting my architecture firm, backup drives containing financial records, and legal papers I'd hoped never to need. After 25 years in business, I'd learned the value of protecting assets. I also had something else Claire didn't know about: a detective friend named Harris, who'd helped me investigate insurance fraud on several construction projects. Harris had taught me a few things about gathering evidence. By dawn, I'd downloaded every message from Claire's tablet, documented the affair timeline, and secured copies of all our financial records. I'd also made some calls. My business partner, Victor, would help protect the firm's assets. My lawyer would file papers first thing Monday morning, and the private investigator Harris recommended would begin documenting Claire's activities immediately. Claire stumbled downstairs around 10, still in her robe, looking hungover from the wedding reception. "You left early last night," she said, pouring coffee with shaky hands. I was tired. Watching my wife flirt with her lover all evening was exhausting. The coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering against the kitchen floor. "Robert, I don't know what you think you saw." "I didn't see anything, Claire. I read it. Every message, every plan, every intimate detail of your affair with Julian." Her face went white, then red, then white again. "You went through my phone? Your tablet. You left it buzzing on the counter like a neon sign advertising your betrayal." She opened her mouth, closed it, then seemed to find her footing. "Fine. Yes, Julian and I are involved, and yes, I want a divorce. I was trying to find a way to tell you gently, but since you've been spying on me—" "Gently?" I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. "Like telling your lover that I'm too stupid to notice you moving out? Like planning to celebrate my humiliation at our daughter's wedding? That kind of gentle?" Claire's mask slipped completely. "You want the truth? I've been miserable for years. You're boring, Robert. Predictable. You come home, eat dinner, work on your little building projects, and fall asleep watching the news. Julian makes me feel alive again." "Julian makes you feel expensive again. There's a difference. At least he pays attention to me. I paid attention for 24 years. You just stopped being worth watching." The words hit her like a slap. Good. I was done being the understanding husband. "I want you out," she said, her voice turning cold. "This is my house too, and I want you gone by the end of the week." I stood up, brushing coffee grounds off my shoes. "Funny thing about that, Claire. See, I'm an architect. I understand structures, foundations, load-bearing elements. I also understand contracts and property law. This house is in both our names, but the mortgage payments have been coming from my business account for the past 3 years since your design work became so specialized." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I've already spoken to my lawyer. It means our joint accounts are frozen pending divorce proceedings. It means your credit cards, the ones linked to my business, have been canceled. And it means Julian might want to reconsider his investment in your future, because as of this morning, you don't have one." I headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Claire, I'm not going anywhere. You want a divorce? You can move in with your boyfriend. I'm sure his penthouse has plenty of room. Claire's assistant Sienna called me Tuesday morning. I'd always liked her. She was smart, observant, and had no patience for Claire's increasingly diva-like behavior. "Mr. Hayes, I'm so sorry about everything," she said. "I had no idea about Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Mercer until recently, and I feel terrible." "It's not your fault, Sienna. You're not responsible for other people's choices. Actually, that's why I'm calling. Mrs. Hayes came into the showroom this morning screaming about frozen accounts and canceled credit cards. She blamed me for somehow alerting you to the affair. She fired me." I rubbed my temples. "I'm sorry. That's not fair to you." "It's okay, Mr. Hayes, but there's something you should know. She's been using the business account for personal expenses, expensive dinners, hotel rooms, gifts for Mr. Mercer. I have all the receipts. Are you willing to document that?" "Absolutely. She's been treating me like dirt for months, and now I know why. She was covering her tracks by making me feel crazy." By Wednesday, Sienna had compiled a comprehensive record of Claire's financial misconduct. More importantly, she'd also started talking to other people in Claire's social circle, the wealthy wives who hired interior designers and gossiped over expensive lunches. The stories spread like wildfire. Claire Hayes, the successful designer who'd always acted superior to her architect husband, was having an affair with her richest client. She'd been embezzling from her business account to fund romantic getaways. Her husband had discovered everything and cut her off financially. Thursday morning, Claire called me in a panic. "Robert, you have to do something. People are talking. My clients are canceling contracts." "Interesting," I said. "It's almost like actions have consequences. This is destroying my business. Your business was built on my financial backing and your reputation. You've damaged both. I'm not sure what you expected." "I expected you to handle this like an adult instead of running around town spreading lies." "I haven't said a word to anyone, Claire, but apparently other people have eyes and ears. Maybe you should have thought about discretion before conducting your affair so publicly." The truth was, I hadn't needed to say anything. Sienna's documentation had found its way to exactly the right people, and Claire's own behavior had provided all the confirmation anyone needed. Friday afternoon, I was in my office when Victor knocked on my door. "Robert, you need to see this." He handed me his phone, showing a local social media page. Someone had posted photos from Emma's wedding, including several shots of Claire and Julian dancing, whispering intimately, and sharing what looked like very personal moments. "Jesus," I muttered. "They weren't even trying to hide it." "It gets worse," Victor said. "Julian's been bragging about the affair at the yacht club. Apparently, he thinks stealing another man's wife makes him some kind of champion." That evening, I drove to Julian's penthouse building. The doorman knew me. I'd designed the building's renovation 5 years earlier. "Evening, Mr. Hayes. Here to see Mr. Mercer?" "Just dropping off some papers," I said, holding up a manila envelope. Julian answered his door in an expensive silk robe, clearly expecting someone else. His face fell when he saw me. "Robert, this is unexpected." "I'm sure it is. May I come in?" He stepped aside reluctantly. The penthouse was impressive. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, expensive art. The kind of place that would impress a woman like Claire. "Drink?" he offered, trying to regain his composure. "No thanks. This won't take long." I handed him the envelope. Inside were copies of all his messages with Claire, including the intimate photos and detailed discussions of their affair. "I thought you should know that your private communications aren't as private as you believed," I said. Julian's face went pale as he flipped through the pages. "How did you get these?" "Does it matter? The point is, I have them. And if you think I won't use them to protect myself and my daughter, you're mistaken." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm informing you. Claire made her choice, and now she has to live with the consequences. But you? You're a predator who targeted a married woman for sport. That makes you fair game." I moved toward his expensive glass coffee table, where a crystal sculpture sat prominently displayed. "Beautiful piece," I said, then accidentally knocked it over with my elbow. It shattered against the marble floor. "Oops. Sorry about that. Sometimes things break when you're not careful with them." Julian got the message. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand that actions have consequences. You've destroyed a family for entertainment. Claire's business is failing, her reputation is ruined, and her daughter won't speak to her. You did that. She made her own choices. She made choices, yes, but you encouraged them. You pursued a married woman, convinced her to betray her family, and now you get to watch the fallout. I hope it was worth it." I headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Julian? If I were you, I'd be very careful about bragging at the yacht club. Small towns have long memories, and rich men make excellent targets for gossip." The following Tuesday, Emma called from her honeymoon in Italy. She'd been seeing the social media posts and hearing rumors from friends. "Dad, what the hell is going on? People are saying Mom had an affair?" I'd been dreading this conversation. "Sweetheart, your mother and I are getting divorced. She's been involved with someone else for several months." Emma was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was shaky. "During my wedding? She was cheating on you during my wedding?" "The affair started before that, but yes, he was there that night." "Jesus, Dad, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "I'm handling it. Don't let this ruin your honeymoon. There's nothing you can do from Italy, and I have everything under control." "What about Mom? Have you talked to her?" "Your mother made her choices, Emma. Now she's living with them." After we hung up, I felt the full weight of what Claire had done. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd destroyed our daughter's trust and damaged Emma's memories of her own wedding day. That evening, my old friend Mike Patterson called. Mike and I had been close since college, and our wives had been friends too. The four of us had shared countless dinners, vacations, and celebrations over the years. "Robert, I heard about you and Claire. I'm really sorry, man." "Thanks, Mike. It's been rough." "Listen, Sarah and I were talking, and we think maybe you should consider counseling. Marriage is hard work, and sometimes people make mistakes." "Mike, she's been having an affair for months. This isn't a mistake. It's a choice." "I know, but Claire called Sarah crying yesterday. She says you've been vindictive, freezing accounts and destroying her business. That doesn't sound like you." My grip tightened on the phone. "Claire called Sarah?" "She's devastated, Robert. She says she made a mistake, but you're trying to ruin her life instead of working things out." "And you believe her?" "I believe marriage is sacred. You don't just throw away 25 years because of one mistake." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mike, she didn't accidentally trip and fall into bed with another man. She planned this. She was going to leave me after Emma's wedding without any warning. She used business funds to pay for hotel rooms and gifts for her lover. This isn't one mistake. It's months of deliberate betrayal. That's your side of the story. It's the only side that matters because it's the truth. Look, Robert, Sarah and I care about both of you. But if you keep being vindictive, you're going to lose friends over this." The threat was clear. Choose reconciliation or lose their friendship. "Let me ask you something, Mike. If Sarah had been cheating on you for months, planning to leave you, spending your money on another man, would you consider that one mistake worth forgiving?" "That's different. Sarah would never. Claire never would either, according to me last week. But she did. And now you're asking me to pretend it doesn't matter because it makes you uncomfortable. I'm asking you to be the bigger man. I'm asking you to be a real friend." Mike sighed. "Maybe we should take a break from this friendship until you can get your anger under control." He hung up. Within an hour, I'd received similar calls from 3 other couples in our social circle. Claire had been busy, playing the victim and painting me as the vindictive ex-husband who couldn't forgive one mistake. By the end of the week, I'd lost 4 longtime friendships. People I'd known for decades were now treating me like a pariah because I wouldn't quietly accept my wife's infidelity. Friday night, I was having dinner alone at Murphy's Tavern when I spotted Mike and Sarah at a corner table with Claire and Julian. They were laughing, having a wonderful time. Claire caught my eye and smiled smugly, raising her wine glass in a mock toast. That's when I realized Claire hadn't just stolen my marriage, she'd stolen my entire social life. Saturday morning, I called Detective Harris. "I need that favor you mentioned." "What kind of favor?" "The kind that involves public records, financial investigations, and making sure certain people understand that actions have consequences." Harris was quiet for a moment. "What did you find out?" "Julian Mercer has been bragging about his affair with my wife. He's also been less than honest about his business dealings. I think the IRS might be interested in his import company's tax filings." "You want me to look into his finances?" "I want you to make sure he's paying his fair share. As a concerned citizen." "And your wife?" "My wife embezzled from her business account to fund her affair. I have documentation." "Robert, be careful. Revenge can backfire." "This isn't revenge, Harris. It's justice." Monday morning, Julian received a visit from federal tax investigators. Apparently, his import business had some discrepancies in its customs declarations. Nothing criminal necessarily, but expensive to resolve, and very public. Tuesday, Claire's business received an audit notice. The IRS wanted to review her business expenses for the past 2 years, particularly the charges that seemed personal rather than professional. Wednesday, I received a furious phone call from Mike Patterson. "What the hell did you do, Robert?" "I don't know what you mean." "Julian's being investigated for tax evasion, and Claire's business is being audited. This has your fingerprints all over it." "Mike, I'm an architect, not a federal investigator. If Julian and Claire have tax problems, that's between them and the government." "You vindictive bastard. You're destroying people's lives." "No, Mike. I'm letting people face the consequences of their own choices. There's a difference." Sarah was right. You've become someone we don't recognize. You never recognized me in the first place. You just saw what you wanted to see, the quiet husband who'd accept any humiliation to keep the peace. We tried to help you save your marriage. You tried to help my wife get away with adultery because it was easier than taking sides. That's not help, Mike, that's cowardice. Go to hell, Robert. I'm already there. The difference is I'm not pretending to enjoy it. Thursday evening, I was working late in my office when Claire burst in without knocking. She looked terrible, hair unwashed, makeup smeared, wearing the same clothes I'd seen her in 2 days earlier. "You son of a jerk," she snarled. "You're trying to destroy me." "I'm trying to divorce you. There's a difference. The IRS audit, Julian's investigation. That's all you." "Prove it." She slammed her hands on my desk. "I know you, Robert. You think you're so smart with your calculations and blueprints. You planned this whole thing. I planned to protect myself and my daughter from a woman who betrayed her family. If that caused problems for you and your boyfriend, maybe you should have thought about that before you started stealing from your business account." "I never stole anything." I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder. Hotel receipts for romantic getaways, restaurant bills for intimate dinners, jewelry purchases for gifts, all charged to your business account and claimed as professional expenses. That's called embezzlement, Claire. Her face went white. Those were legitimate business expenses. Really? Which client did you take to the Four Seasons for a weekend romantic getaway? Which business meeting required a $2,000 bracelet? She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, smaller, more desperate. "Robert, please. I made mistakes, but I don't deserve this. Julian won't return my calls. My clients have all canceled. I can't afford the house payments without your support. You should have thought about that before you decided I was too boring to stay married to." I was confused. Julian made me feel things I hadn't felt in years. Julian made you feel expensive. Now you know what you're actually worth without my financial backing." She started crying then, real tears, not the calculated kind she'd used during our marriage when she wanted something. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "Nothing, Claire. I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point." "So what happens now?" "Now you figure out how to rebuild your life without destroying someone else's. Now you learn what consequences feel like. Now you discover whether Julian's love is strong enough to survive a tax investigation and a failed business." She wiped her eyes, and for a moment, I saw the woman I'd married 25 years ago, young, beautiful, full of dreams, before she became someone who could betray her family for excitement. "I never meant for things to go this far," she said quietly. "But they did. And now we both have to live with what you chose." She left without another word. I watched from my window as she got into her car. Julian's car, I realized. At least he hadn't completely abandoned her yet. But I knew he would. Men like Julian didn't stick around when the excitement turned into complications. 2 weeks later, Emma returned from her honeymoon. She called from the airport, asking to meet for dinner. We chose a quiet restaurant downtown, away from the social circles where Claire's drama was still the primary topic of conversation. Emma looked tan and happy, but her eyes were worried. "Dad, you look terrible." "Thanks, sweetheart. You look beautiful." "How was Italy?" "Amazing, but I couldn't stop thinking about everything happening here." "Tell me the truth. How bad is it?" I'd been dreading this conversation, but Emma deserved honesty. I told her everything. The affair, the embezzlement, the tax investigations, the lost friendships. I watched my daughter's face cycle through disbelief, anger, and finally, resignation. "I can't believe Mom did this to our family," she said finally. "Your mother made choices that seemed right to her at the time. Now she's living with the consequences." "What about you? Are you okay?" "I'm surviving. Some days are better than others." Emma reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm proud of you, Dad." "For what?" "For not letting her get away with it. For standing up for yourself. I know it would have been easier to just accept the divorce quietly, but she needed to face consequences. I lost most of our friends over this. They weren't really your friends if they expected you to accept betrayal quietly." Smart girl. I'd raised her well. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now I rebuild. New friends, new routines, new life. It's scary, but also liberating." "What about Mom? What about her? Have you talked to her recently?" I hadn't, but I'd heard through Victor that Claire's business had folded completely. The IRS audit had uncovered enough irregularities to result in substantial penalties and back taxes. Julian's tax investigation had led to criminal charges, and he'd fled to Monaco to avoid prosecution. Claire was living in a small apartment across town, working part-time at another designer's showroom. "Your mother is learning to take care of herself," I told Emma. "Maybe that's something she should have learned years ago." The next morning I was in my office early when Victor knocked on my door. "Robert, you need to see this." He handed me a newspaper. The business section had a small article about Julian Mercer's indictment for tax evasion and customs fraud. Apparently, his import business had been falsifying documents for years, avoiding millions in taxes and duties. "Jesus," I muttered. I knew he was crooked, but this is bigger than I thought. "It gets better," Victor said. "Harris called this morning. Turns out Claire wasn't Julian's only married conquest. The FBI found evidence of at least 3 other affairs with married clients, all involving financial manipulation and business fraud. He's a predator. Was a predator. He's facing 20 years in federal prison if they catch him." That afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor. Sienna knocked on my office door, looking nervous but determined. "Mr. Hayes, I hope you don't mind me stopping by." "Not at all, Sienna. How are you doing?" "Better, actually. I wanted to thank you for the recommendation letter. I got the job at Morrison Design. You deserve it. You're talented and honest, qualities that are rarer than they should be. She sat down across from my desk. I also wanted to tell you something about Mrs. Hayes. Sienna, you don't need to. Yes, I do. She came to see me last week, asking if I'd testify that you somehow forced me to give you information about her affair. She wanted me to say you threatened my job or bribed me. My stomach clenched. What did you tell her? I told her the truth. That you never asked me for information, never threatened anyone, never did anything except protect yourself from someone who was stealing from her own business to fund an affair. Thank you. She's desperate, Mr. Hayes. The apartment she's living in is a dump, and she can barely afford it. She's talking about writing a book telling her side of the story. Let her. The truth isn't afraid of lies. Sienna smiled. That's what I figured you'd say. After she left, I sat in my office thinking about Claire's desperation. Part of me, a very small part, felt sorry for her. She'd gambled everything on a man who turned out to be a criminal, and she'd lost. But then I remembered Emma's wedding and the smug smile Claire had given me at Murphy's Tavern, and the months of betrayal and lies. My sympathy evaporated. That evening, I was having dinner at home when the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Claire standing on my porch, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen her. Hello, Robert. Claire, what do you want? Can I come in, just for a few minutes? Against my better judgment, I led her into the living room. She looked around at the house we'd shared for 15 years, her eyes lingering on the furniture she'd chosen, the art she'd selected. The house looks good, she said quietly. It's peaceful. She flinched. Robert, I came to apologize for everything. The affair, the lies, the way I treated you. I know it doesn't change anything, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Claire? That I forgive you? That we can be friends? That I understand why you betrayed our family for a criminal who's now hiding in Monaco? Her composure cracked. He told me he loved me. He said he'd take care of me, that we'd travel the world together. I believed him. You believed what you wanted to believe because it was easier than working on our marriage. Our marriage was dying, Robert. We both know that. Our marriage had problems. Every marriage does. But instead of trying to fix them, you decided to blow everything up and see what happened. She was crying now, the desperate tears of someone who'd lost everything and finally understood the magnitude of her choices. I don't know how to rebuild from this, she whispered. I've lost everything. My business, my friends, my family, my home. I don't even know who I am anymore. Now you know how I felt when I found those messages on your tablet. Robert, please. I know I don't deserve it, but I need help. I can't afford my apartment much longer and no one will hire me. My reputation is destroyed. You destroyed your own reputation, Claire. I didn't make you embezzle from your business account. I didn't make you have an affair with a tax cheat. I didn't make you lie to our daughter and humiliate our family. You did all of that yourself. So what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to figure it out. The same way I had to figure out how to rebuild my life after you destroyed it. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the exact instant when she realized I wasn't going to save her. That there would be no reconciliation, no financial support, no soft landing. You've become cruel, she said. I've become realistic. There's a difference. She stood to leave, then paused at the door. Do you hate me? I considered the question seriously. No, Claire. I don't hate you, but I don't love you anymore either. You're just someone I used to know who made terrible choices. That's all you are to me now. She left without another word. Through the window, I watched her walk to the bus stop. Julian's car was long gone, of course. She'd have to take public transportation back to her small apartment, where she'd spend the evening alone, contemplating the wreckage of her life. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, no regret. Just emptiness where 25 years of marriage used to be. The next morning brought unexpected news. Emma called, excited and nervous. "Dad, I have something to tell you. David and I are pregnant." For the first time in months, I felt genuine joy. "Sweetheart, that's wonderful. How are you feeling?" "Scared, excited, overwhelmed, all the normal things, I guess." "You're going to be an amazing mother." "Thanks, Dad. There's something else, though. I want you to walk me down the aisle again." "What do you mean?" "David and I are planning a small ceremony next spring, just family and close friends. A real celebration without all the drama and lies from the first wedding. Will you give me away again?" "I'd be honored." After we hung up, I realized that Claire's betrayal had given me something unexpected, a clean slate. No more pretending to be happy in a dying marriage. No more walking on eggshells around friends who expected me to accept humiliation quietly. No more enabling someone else's selfishness. I was 52 years old, financially secure, and finally free to build the life I actually wanted, instead of the one I'd settled for. 6 months later, I received a letter from Claire. She'd moved to Florida, where she was working as a receptionist at a medical clinic. Julian had been extradited from Monaco and was serving 15 years in federal prison. She'd started therapy and was trying to rebuild her life. She didn't ask for forgiveness or money or reconciliation. She just wanted me to know that she finally understood what she'd destroyed and why she deserved the consequences. I read the letter once, then threw it away. Some bridges, once burned, should stay that way. Emma's second wedding was everything her first should have been: intimate, honest, and filled with people who genuinely cared about her happiness. I walked my pregnant daughter down the aisle with pride, knowing that she'd learned from her mother's mistakes and chosen a man who valued loyalty over excitement. At the reception, Emma pulled me aside. "Dad, I'm proud of how you handled everything with Mom. You could have been vindictive, but you just let her face the natural consequences of her choices." "Sometimes that's enough," I said. "More than enough. You showed me what integrity looks like, even when it's hard." As I watched my daughter dance with her husband, I realized that Claire's betrayal had taught me something valuable. I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. Strong enough to walk away from a toxic marriage. Strong enough to lose fair-weather friends without losing myself. Strong enough to rebuild my life on my own terms. Claire had wanted excitement and luxury and passion. Instead, she'd gotten poverty and loneliness and regret. Julian had wanted conquest and admiration and power. Instead, he'd gotten handcuffs and headlines and a prison cell. I'd wanted justice and peace and a fresh start. And against all odds, that's exactly what I'd gotten. The architect's last blueprint had been the most successful design of my career, a complete demolition and reconstruction of my own life, built on a foundation strong enough to last.